and welcome back to another TTRPG panel. Today we are talking about zines and all the things that involve TTRPG and zines. And I have some fantastic people that I'm excited to hear from, going from closest to me to furthest. We're going to say, first we have Lola Johnson, who is a TTRPG designer, geek, knitter, and Indie Dyer at Third Vault's Yarn, who is currently crowdfunding the Wanderer's Bookshop, who is also which is a solo journaling bookshop simulator guided by tarot cards in which you collect stories, read books, and find your white whale. Which does feel like a game written for me specifically. I don't know if you noticed, but my day job is I'm a librarian, and reader's advisory is like my favorite thing that I don't get to do enough. So this is really beautiful. Okay, continuing. VJ Harris is a DM's Guild author, game master, and designer, currently crowdfunding On Call, a game in which you are a werewolf who can't shift during the full moon cycle. Instead, you and your colleagues are on call, dealing with any issues that arise that are tied to any of your pack members. Hi, VJ! And then next up, we have Takuma Okada, who is a game designer known for games including Alone Among the Stars, Stewpot, Tales from the Fantasy Tavern, and who is currently part of the design team for Spirit Swap, a slice of life TTRPG, a solo journaling game about moving to a new city, befriending the people who live there, and becoming a full-fledged witch.
Hi.
Hi. This is all very exciting for me as someone who has had to work on call and someone who is a witch and a librarian. I'm like, this is great. Truth is, I just pick panelists of people who I want to hang out with. Let's hop right into it. We don't have a ton of time, and I have so much I want to talk about. So today we are talking about zines. And so right off the bat, my first question, feel free to answer, whoever has something to say, is what actually is a zine? And how is a zine format, and especially in like TTRPG, different from just a book? Anybody?
On mute. Hi. I don't know how many zines the other two have made, but I am very new to this. And for me at this moment, zine, very like short form little guy. When I was starting to do this, like, how many pages can this be? And something was like less than 25. I was like, bet. And short form guy, very concise work inside of there. And when you say different from a book, like any books, TTRPG books, or both?
I mean, I suppose in this case, like I'm talking about TTRPG books.
Okay, that I know a little bit more about because I've been a part of long form like TTRPG books. First off, there's still constraints within the TTRPG books, but it's very much more so on how much you're willing to how much money you need to fundraise and are willing to fundraise versus like a very clear cut like, hey, zines are meant to be short, like between this range. Like technically speaking, you can make a 500-page TTRPG book if you really wanted to. The just question is like, how much is it going to cost to produce it if it's not a PDF? How much are you actually going to be realistically able to charge if it is a large PDF? Because the pricings on that is really like.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else have thoughts on like what makes a zine, and instead of just like a normal TTRPG book?
It's a little more DIY, I feel like, generally, because like a lot of the books, it's usually, you know, the small like indie companies and up are making like full hardcovers with a bunch of art and like rounds of playtesting and editing and stuff. And zines are where you see people that are printing stuff at home or doing like really small print runs, and smaller games, especially like small experimental stuff, GM-less stuff. A lot of solo journaling games are zine sized.
Yeah. I think even what you just said there about the hardcover versus soft cover is like an obvious difference, right? Like zines, the binding is different, like, you know, because they are so small, and that kind of adds constraints and lifts constraints, right? Um, so keeping that in mind, what drew you to this format? Why do zines?
Personally, I love exploring like little worlds and being able to essentially go from, okay, I have a little book in front of me, straight into play. And I think that's one of the big things that draw me to Zines, because bigger TTRPG books and everything else, I'm very much like, okay, there is a full world built already. Let me just build the world. Let me just get into it. I don't want to have to learn a wild range of things. And that is what I want to bring to my games, because I want them to always be easy to get to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I want to talk about that. I'm taking notes. Yes, this is
yeah, easy
fantastic.
to get to play. And like from one page to zine, like obviously one page is like the most accessible, but where it falls down is that one page doesn't allow you much support for the GM if you're playing one page, or it's a much deeper constraint. Whilst zines, I think, give you a little bit more scope and space for that. And also, I'm someone with scope creep, so we do zines more than one page.
But then you said the actual constraints of the format itself, the fact that you can't just be like a casual 50-page zine, like, you know, do you have a 50-page zine?
Well, the Wondrous Bookshop is growing.
Okay, might be a zine series by the end of it. Does anyone else want to share what drew them to this format initially?
Yeah. So technically speaking, not even technically speaking, factually speaking, the like zine month and the Backer Kid Zinopedia, I was like, man, I want to do this. And then, obviously it's a zine, so it's very limited. I do think I would have wound up doing this at some point anyway, because while I've been primarily designing for D&D stuff, which you can obviously make a D&D zine, I like associate it with very indie like titles and stuff. And I, as a designer, love branching out into different things, not just for the like, hey, it's strengthening my design aspect, but just because it's fun. It's fun to get out of your comfort zone and make things that you wouldn't have made otherwise. Like, I think I have something, Hunt RPG, which is, for me, it wouldn't be a zine because I think it's like 40 plus pages, obviously. But it was like one of the shortest things that I'd ever actually made in like totality. Like, I've done individual monster manuals and stuff, but the whole book is like 200 plus pages.
I think for me, it was a lot of similar stuff to Lola, where the majority of my work has been like really short, a few pages games where I really want you to be able to jump in and play as soon as possible. I like to say a lot about Alone Among the Stars that you can play it in 15 minutes because there's no character creation. You just jump in and start playing, and you're just kind of like assumed, okay, this is what you are, go explore. And that transitioned really easily to a zine format with two other alone games. And yeah, I think it's a really cool way to fit some really small games into a nice little thing. I put like a hacking guide and an outline to make your own alone game, and a journal in the back of my first zine. And yeah, I really like doing that like short, really easy to pick up and play kind of game, especially solo games, where I think momentum is really important. So zines felt like a really good fit.
You're muted.
I was so excited. I was so thrilled to talk. You could see it, right? The lip readers are thriving right now. Okay, so what I was saying is like this is really fascinating to me because we talked about like the physical, like the sort of definition of like what even is a zine, but there's also all these connotations with it, right? So personally, I'm much more likely to buy a zine game than a hardbound game at this point, and it's largely because what you brought up was, like, it's shorter, so that's more accessible to me, and because I like small and frankly, weird stories. Like, I want something that's, like, a little out there. Like, I want something and I'm like, maybe the kind of thing that doesn't have enough mass appeal to fund a book, um, but that's just, like, a little messed up little guy, you know? And I think that's where zines often really, really shine. Uh, okay, and kind of in that, because like, VJ, you talked about, like, going from large projects to zines. Do you see, like, zines as a stepping stone for creators to get to large projects, or is it and sometimes the other way around, or that it's two separate media that kind of coexist? And now you're muted. How the turntables.
I was also very excited. I think like generally speaking, you could do it either way, right? Like starting with zines, then moving to something big, doing something big, and then coming down to zines like I did. But I don't think that either one, um, at least for me, is a stepping stone for the other. It is simply just two different mediums to play around in, to like have a good time with. I know that I'm going to be making zines for as long as I'm designing TTRPGs, I'm also going to be making zines. Like the day that I stop doing them is the day that I'm also like, all right, I'm retiring from this field, never doing it again, kind of thing, because it's because like I said, it's a fun challenge, and also what has already been said about like making it really easy and accessible to jump in. I think I told somebody in an interview that was like, hey, you could take on if you've never had anybody play, you could take on call, get it done, and in like 2 hours you could have gotten through like character design because it's really quick, a couple of scenarios, and just be like, okay, we're calling it for the night. Like very short and easy. And I don't think that's true for a lot of like actual long TTRPG.
The interaction between these two spheres, and now we're all muted, so never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say I don't think of either, like very much like you just said, neither of them is really a stepping stone to each other. It's very much just different mediums to play in and to explore. And I think that it's a really nice way of going, okay, I've got this idea, let's see if it has legs. Right?
Yeah.
And also, as Takuma was saying earlier, let's get experimental. Throw things together.
Get weird.
Let's get weird. Let's get fucky. Let's see how people feel about this thing. You know? So yeah, not a stepping stone, just different pools.
Yeah, it's different modes of working, and I think I just want to talk about like the process of making and like distributing them as well, because like zines tend to have less wide like market appeal, right? So, and they also take less time to make, and you can reprint them in smaller batches and get those out and things like that. So zines, you're maybe going to reach less people, but you're going to have an easier time doing a lot of it yourself. You might not make as much money, but like it's fine. I wrote Alone Among the Stars in 2018, and then I fulfilled a Zine Quest Kickstarter in 2021. So that was about 3 years. But for Stupot, which is the one big book that I've put out with Evil Hat, I started writing that in 2018 and didn't publish until last year. So that was about 7 years, and that was a much more complicated process working with a bunch of people. But like that's just in like regular bookstores that I can go to around here. So like they're very different. It doesn't have to be a stepping stone to either, but yeah, they're working in different kinds of areas.
Okay, yeah, and that so my thought here is that now we have these two different things that exist. how does this work? Is this the interaction between sort of the medium and the message that we're sharing? Do you have an idea and you're like, "Man, that is a zine-shaped idea I have. Time to bust out the A4 paper and fold it in half and get to work." Or, do you go like, "Oh, it's zine month. I need to try to kind of fit an idea I have into this zine format and with all the creative constraints that come with it." Like, what is the sort of directionality of that, or at least most commonly?
For me, it's very much I have an idea and I put it in my little ideas bundle, and then I start pulling them out when I'm like, I want to do some writing. And the decision on whether it becomes, well, something bigger or a zine is very much like, okay, how am I wanting to help you tell this story? Or how am I? That's kind of what decides the length of it. So whether that becomes that's a one page, okay, this is super quick, this is super easy and very freeform, versus okay, let's build in a little bit of structure and then let you decide bigger, right? For
Mhm.
making it into a zine. And beyond that, it's very much like, oh, do I need to build the entire world for you to play in? And if so, for to fully be able to realize what I envision people to be able to do with this game, and then that's clearly something much bigger than as I. So I think it's very much um, the conversation. Personally, the conversation that I have with myself and the game as I'm exploring creating it, which will determine the format that it brings. But I also just really love zines. So more often than not, it's gonna be short. Though
Yeah.
again, the scope creep is real. So
I'm merging ideas here, from what y'all have been saying, but I like this idea that so sometimes you just start writing, and then the kind of word count you end up with, you're like, "Well, that's a zine length word count, or that is a book length word count," kind of could be part of it. But there's also the product design element, and both of those are a reflection of the vision, but also what Takuma was saying about the distribution and the audience size that we're looking at too, right? Like, is this something that would make space on a shelf in a bookstore? Or is this maybe something that it's like a little niche? Kind of all these factors. But please add on. I'm just keeping my own notes for my own personal.
So for me, for On Call, it was very much like a, hey, it's Xenopedia, you have to make a zine. But I think
Mhm.
also moving forward, at least my like indie things, I will try to make it, regardless of the idea, I will try to make it a zine, because there's the whole like idea of like keeping it short, sweet, and to the point. Because I love TTRPGs that are accessible to people, that you can just slap down in front of somebody, like, we're playing a game tonight. You don't need to spend 30 minutes reading the rules. And even in the event where it's like, even in the event where I'm like, actually, this should be like a full length book, I will probably start as a zine to be like, okay, what can I cut down? Because sometimes stuff is just so bogged with rules too. To be like 25 pages, what can you get done? And what do you need to like keep instead of, word vomiting for longer form TTRPGs?
For me, I've kind of gone both ways, where initially, Alone on a Journey, I had written a bunch of these solo journaling exploration games, and then I was like, oh, I can. They were too short to make one into a zine, really, unless it was like a print at home thing. But oh, I can put a couple of them together, and that's zine size, and that feels good. And I'd already like gotten a really good response to them. Like I heard from a lot of people playing it and really liking it, so it made a lot of sense to turn that into a zine, where with Spirit Swap, it was actually my friend Alex wanted to work with me on something and something Spirit Swap related. And I had done this thing called Promptober, where I was trying to write a tabletop game every day in October based on a prompt. Um, I managed to do it every day in 2022, but last year I could not do it. After 2 days, I was like, I don't have this in me anymore. But the second day had been about being a witch and like finding spells out in the world. It was a solo journaling game about finding spells and like learning them and adding them to a spell book. And I was like, oh, Spirit Swap's a magic setting. Like Samar's a witch. You're doing spirit swapping stuff. I want to know more about the magic of this world. I think we can combine these things for Zine Quest, and that's kind of how it emerged.
Oh, cool. Okay. I like seeing all the different paths that lead to zines. Like some people come in kind of format first, or content first, or community first. Um, Another question I want to ask is, how has the indie RPG like zine community shaped your work? I know we've had mentions of like Zine Quest, Zine Month already, but to what extent is that just like part of it? Now you're muted.
For me, I think Zine Quest back in 2019, I think it was like maybe the second one they'd done on Kickstarter, was a really big one for feeling like really part of a scene and like connecting with people. And we did a lot of like cross promo. Everyone was backing everyone's shit. Um, and then we all ended up with like 20 zines from the month that would slowly trickle in. And it was really beautiful, and it was really fun because like a lot of us had play tested each other's games way before. And then we were like, oh, this is in good shape. Like we can turn it into a zine. Let's all do this. Like I played this. It was really fun. You should go back that. And yeah, that aspect of it is really cool. I really love that a lot. I feel like I've uh, been not as involved this year, and it's kind of I feel bad about that. So I'm trying to um, kind of talk about stuff a little more and back other ones and talk about it. But yeah, I think that aspect of it is really cool.
So it wasn't that I was just muted, it was also that, oh no, I'm in the middle of a cable. Which, if anyone else is also a knitter and in the comments, they will understand. Yeah, so the community aspect is it's big, is a big thing for me. Like I really have enjoyed crowdfunding specifically in the within Zine Month and being part of the different events because of getting to see what everyone else is creating and having that kind of, oh, we're doing this to get, like, it's a sense of oh, we're doing this all together. And instead of it being very much just like, oh yeah, I'm sitting in my own home just throwing out a little guy into the ether, right? It's very much a like, okay, we're all throwing out little guys, so I'm here with y'all and enjoying myself and talking to you and also buying all your little guys, and my wallet is very sad at the end of the month, but I am happy. So, you know?
Wallet empty, heart full. Ain't that just the way?
Mhm.
VJ, I don't know if I know you're having audio issues. I can hear you though. And I think the captions are picking you up if you want to share any thoughts.
I um I actually don't know if I have a lot of thoughts for this particular question. As for those, if I haven't made that clear, very new to the zine stuff, and I feel like I'm learning a lot in some of these questions just listening.
Okay, fantastic. So I've just started making zines, by the way. I have another show where we just like design a game in an hour, and then we make the document like the Word doc kind of in an hour. And then the step of getting that from there to zine, I really underestimated how big that step. I was like, you just kind of fold it in half, right? I'm like, okay, there's like a way more that goes on to this. And I don't have a visual artistic bone in my body. So this is the reason I bring this up is not just to talk about my own plight, but I've just been thinking a lot about like how product design is in many ways like an extension of game design. Like when we say what is the game, is it just the rules abstracted, or is it like partially the format in which it's presented, and even like the art is like all part of what informs the game. Especially you're talking about things like world and tone and atmosphere all being built into the game. Uh, the example I give is like sometimes the way you like in fancy cooking shows, the way they like plate the meal is as important as the flavor. I think that's like all part of it. So I was just wondering with this format, with all its like history and also sense of community and kind of scrappiness, but also like very real constraints. How does that like inform the work, either like enriching it or constraining it?
So I feel like it's almost more receptive to art, because there are a lot of things that you can say more concisely with the way you lay it out and the way that a thing flows and the art you put in than you can say in words. And so I think that layout and art and everything else really helps to communicate what you're trying to say to the reader or player, and so it's almost intertwined. And I think that it's a big thing for it to be kind of slightly collage, slightly scrappy, and as well as like being very polished, but all of those kind of say something. It's all intentional.
And just because I'm literally trying to learn, do you have any examples? Like, do you have any thoughts on like that you could think of like how these work? Because like I think I believe it in the I agree with you in the abstract. It's just like when it comes pen to paper, I'm like, puppy sticker? I don't know. Like, like
I could list off a million. All of my zines are not in this room. Like I have a collection because I back so many during zine month, but and also other times. But I guess 1,000-Year-Old Vampire is not really a zine. Okay. I'm gonna go with one of mine because it's right on my table. I think University of Door.
Okay, yeah.
University of Door, for example. It's a game similar to Alone Among the Stars, but where you play the traveler, and you're an expert that goes to explore extrasolar planets and research, send knowledge back, and do no harm. And the whole point is it's very like we're going sci-fi and we're creating something, and the idea with the layout is to help the flow of where you go, right? And also to add to the atmosphere and to add to the atmosphere, to tell you something. And this is not very scrappy. This is very beautifully refined by Nala Jeru, who is amazing and has done the last few of my games, and is doing the Wanderer's Bookshop as well, because the Wanderer's Bookshop is actually leaning into their strengths, which is like, not, I say leaning into their strength, is like their passion, which is digital collage. And it's very much like, hey, we are doing an old, weathered, much loved journal with sources and like watercolor and art and ink, all of that kind of scrappy and shoved in there, which is supposed to be something that gives you the vibe of, okay, we're creating this much loved little piece of world for this curator of this new bookshop, and you're pulling stuff together. So it's very much like, this is reinforcing the story and the vibe that I'm trying to give you with the game, and where I'm like saying, hey, this is kind of where you play. This is a bit of an example. This is a through route that reinforces the text.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for letting me put you on the spot like that. But I know I branched off there, but for anyone else to answer the question, I was asking, how does the format inform the work? Uh, and I was mentioning the kind of the history, the scrappiness, the constraints, all those things, and the way that the actual product design interacts with the game design. So, Takuma or BJ, if you have something to say.
I think I could say something on the product design in like because so with On Call, I was very much, I was like, I want to do this. I don't with On Call, I was trying to cut costs as much as possible. I don't know how much I'm actually going to be able to reasonably like make from the thing. So I was like, I'll make the cover. And it was I made the cover, and then I was like, oh hey, and then a friend told me to reach out to another buddy to talk about like doing design. I was like, oh hey, here's what I got for the cover, because I usually make my own covers when it comes to like the indie like things that I make. And I was like, hey, take this, I'd love to keep this, cost cutting, especially since one of the ways I cut costs was like, I'm not making any money from the Kickstarter. I just want to pay other people to help me fix it. And then said layout designer came back with like this beautiful cover that I was like, it was still in the same vein as the original cover, because the point was to convey like, hey, you're in a small town, here's the werewolf. But they came back with like, had all the elements of my original idea, but had like headphones on one of the wolves that helped to be like, oh hey, what's going on. And then the actual interior of it was very much like these like I like a yellow that we're using, very much like, be like, oh yeah, like you'd associate with the moon when you were a kid, like, yeah, the moon's yellow kind of thing. Like it very much, and the kind of not rough, but I know there's some very solid ideas on what is associated with werewolves and stuff. So from the like actual font to like how the like borders work and how the actual like character sheet looks, it very much feels like that rough feeling that you might have about actual werewolf media, and it just heightened the actual like werewolf rules in the product. Like when you look at it, it's like, yeah, this feels like a game where you would play a werewolf. Like the synergy, it has synergy.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Amazing. Takuma.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things people have done with tabletop scenes, and I think especially the constraints of like budget, especially where it's like, okay, art's expensive, so we're going to keep that to a minimum. A lot of people, it's like, okay, you just have the cover art. For Alone on a Journey, we just had this one piece, and then we reused it inside like this for just the opening page and the die roll. Lots of reusing. But there's stuff like the RPG design zines that Nathan D. Paoletta does, which are literally like the cut and paste kind of collage type situation. But it's a whole zine of like different examples of mechanics and how to use them and why you would use them and how to think about designing a game. Really, really cool. There was like a dollar option where it was like, okay, yeah, give me $1. I'm gonna send you the PDF. You can print it at home. Like it's just all black and white, all this kind of collage stuff. I really like Jack Harrison's stuff, Muscle Press, Artifact, really gorgeous Rizzo cover. And I mean, yeah, like the inside also just really, really, really
I've
cool.
got so many of those ones from Meltzer.
Yeah. This Game Beyond Reach I have, which is by Annie Johnston Glick, which is really simple, like this kind of craft paper, I think self-printed. and then just this art on the front and back. There's a lot of variation in what you can do, but I really especially appreciate that, like, okay, how do I print this for the least amount of money possible? How do I get creative with how I use art? And like having just black and white insides, or printing it myself, or having it so that people can print it at home.
Yeah, one thing I've always loved about zines was like often the use of like public domain art and collage and things. Um, just saying, the overlay for this stream is actually, if you can be folded into a one-page art zine. um, because of course I did, but it was just I always make my overlays with usually public domain art and collage because, like I said, no like drawing skills here, but I like things to look nice, so I'm like, that makes it a little more accessible, and also no skills, no budget, no problem. That's why we got the public domain, baby. Um, and I want to bring in, because Takuma, you're talking about printing uh, printing at home and things like that. This is something that I've been thinking a lot because I have always thought of zines as something very analog. Like when I think of zines, like before I got into RPG world, I thought of zines, I thought of like punks printing off anarchist poetry at the public library, folding it up, stapling it, and handing it out at music festivals. Like that's the kind of way I think of the medium. But now that I'm in this world, almost all the zines I buy are digital. And some of them are like very difficult to print. Some of them aren't really designed to be printed, but some of them I feel like they could very easily be made that. So I was curious, as zine creators yourselves, do you conceive of zines as like more of physical or digital objects, or something that moves between those two spaces? And how does that affect design choices?
So I think the way that I have always initially thought, or the way I first fully encountered them, is very much through zine libraries and friends basically being like, oh, hey, here's a little clandestine, like, pass over the table, here is a zine kind of thing.
Hey, kids want some
Or-
zines?
yeah.
In a back alley.
Or just sitting at the zine library and like grabbing pieces from different magazines, or like collaging.
I just
Go
want to
ahead.
say, in case someone doesn't know, could you say what a zine library is?
A zine library is essentially, well, as far as I'm aware, is like an archive project, essentially, of zines that people have made and created, and it is a way to preserve them and, in some cases, digitize and make them accessible and keep them in perpetuity, like in the same way that like libraries and like repository libraries, like for example the British Library here, and like there's one in Edinburgh and Glasgow, etc. Like they keep print works for essentially the future, and that is, as far as I'm aware, what zine libraries do, but for more grassroots and like small creative media that doesn't necessarily see big physical print, or like, yeah, it's not necessarily going to have an ISBN, except when you're necessarily working here and you're trying to do it like that. Yeah.
Just shout out to chat. Check if you have a zine library locally. Often they're part of like an LGBTQ archive, or like a specific cultural subgroups archive. They are much more common in Europe than in North America, but they do exist globally. So, and you kind of have to go looking for them. So, and they're usually open to the public upon request. So this is just my little plug for zine libraries to the chat. Go check if you can get to one. They're really cool. You can just spend some time bundled up in a zine library reading some wild stuff. It's a good time. Okay, sorry, but the question was about physical and digital, and you said you had met them through zine libraries, and I just
Yes.
wanted to let people know about that in case they didn't know. But
No
as you
worries,
were.
but thank you for the reminder, because the ADHD was like, I
have notes in front of me. That's why I remember.
Yes. So yeah, I had met them physically, but also experiencing games and lots of little games, and then going to different conventions, or like attending conventions and going, oh, this is cute and it's quick, and I can play it. So in terms of meeting TTRPG zines and getting to experience that was like great in the physical format. And it wasn't until I was like, okay, let's explore more widely, like globally, right? So the way that I've more interacted with them from like everywhere, because obviously I'm based in the UK. The only way that I will be able to access a lot of stuff from all over the world is digitally. So being able to like back them or find them or pick them up on itch.io, for example, like has made like the world of zines something that is dual for me. It's very much like you've got the physical versions, you've also got the digital versions, and I find it very interesting, and I really enjoy when even if I can't get a physical version by like ordering it or from the creator, if they have created something that is meets kind of very easy print requirements, like if it's black and white, that's pretty easy to print. If it's necessarily short, if they have folding instructions, because it's not going to happen without that, especially if you have a different shape of zine. But yeah, so I really enjoy still getting to have a physical thing in that case, because that's quite fun to also feel part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, I think this is true for all TTRPGs for me, that they're very much like digital mediums for me, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't have a lot of space. If I had a physical thing of everything I own, I wouldn't be able to move in my room. But also on like, again, on the note of like accessibility and stuff, like being able to PDFs are typically cheaper, and if I really need to print it, I do have local libraries that can help me do that with a variety of sizes, but also I don't have those capabilities personally at home, and as well sorry, oh Jesus, it might also just be that my whole introduction to zines has been in a digital format. Like the first zines I ever bought were because of Solo But Not Alone. Like it's a TTRG, it's a bundle over on Itch, and so it was like, oh, okay, this feels correct. Like like, okay, this is my introduction to it, so this feels like the way it should be, at least to me. But also I love physical copies of things, so if I could get my hands on like when I can afford it, it's like, yeah, no, let me get a couple of like hands-on things. Like I'm pretty sure I have a couple of like D&D adjacent zines down there somewhere. But very much like it feels like the right format to me because that's how I was introduced to it, and I'm a big fan of like things being as accessible as possible for people.
I think for me, the itch PDF stuff, I care about that a lot. It's really important to me. I think that a lot of those games are more similar in vibe to the like older definition of zine, where it's like the collage stuff that you're printing at the library, the punks,
Not you
making like
calling my
farmer
version the old
dedications.
version, it's okay. I'll just go walk to the ocean now. No, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah, and I think there's been this kind of like, there's this discourse about the commercialization of zine culture and these like $10, $15 zines that are like actually printed from a place, and some of these like bigger fanzines that take submissions and are full of all this art, and a lot of the tabletop stuff too, where I think it's this weird middle ground between kind of like the DIY print at home stuff and a hardcover tabletop book. There's just this in between space that needs to be filled. And the like really scrappy stuff is the like itch PDFs to me. So yeah, I think they're kind of different, and not. I don't call everything that's like small and a PDF on itch a zine. Like it, I think it has to be physical or designed like to print in mind for me to call it that. But that isn't like a knock against those PDFs at all. It's just they're different things to me.
Yeah. I think I was thinking this today because I was going back. Oh, sorry, going back to my zine collection because I just got a color printer and I'm like so stoked. I'm like, I'm gonna print my zines. Except they all have colored backgrounds, and I'm like, listen, team, I can't afford this. Like, can't you just make it plain and I'll get colored paper? Like, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to speak on, I guess, the commercialization of zines. I guess so.
I think this is very
Well,
interesting.
a little bit, not fully, but I guess in the way that I include art and everything else for me is because I can make something by myself, and I have like a lot of my original stuff is stuff made by me, stuff that I've collaged together and put together, and then I'll also have a plain HTML, plain doc or whatever,
Mhm.
so that people can just print that out themselves. But for me, a lot of the zine, like the connection, is about connection and community and working with others and building something together. So, like, personally, in terms of, I guess, obviously bringing it to Zine Month or crowdfunding, is very much like, I want this thing to be the best that it can be, and that's not something that can happen alone, because different visions and different experiences will 100% make a better thing. And if that means that I get to play in that space with my friends, even better. Give my friends money? Yes, because I want to also support my friends.
So I thought that was interesting too, because like in the library science world, the definition of zine includes it's a non-commercial print. Like it has to be non-commercial. If it is widely distributed, that becomes a magazine now, which is different, right? However, the definition's changing now. And I think part of it is, unfortunately, we have less and less leisure time like available to just like make art for free, kind of, unfortunately. Like, and even the just like getting people together thing. So there's like, I think there are like tiers of commercialization. Like I don't think anyone's doing like a mega corp, you know, vertical supply integration zine corp. But I think too that like at the flip side, people aren't like, we got to pay artists. Man, the artists need money. Like, give them money. They need it. Uh, okay. This may be surprising you, but we are almost at the hour. So, my last question before we do sign offs is, what is advice that you would give to someone to a new zine creator who's thinking about just jumping into zines, jumping into the whole like scene? What bit of advice would you give them?
Take any part of this, but just like process of making one, write a bunch of small short games, a few pages short. You can play pick up and play really easily in a short amount of time. Play test the hell out of it. Play with a bunch of other people. Yeah, see which ones you like playing over and over again. See which ones other people like playing, and then take that and turn it into a zine. And like try to make it so that you can handle the printing and the distro by yourself as much as possible. And then, if you can have some stretch goals. It's like, okay, I can add a little art or I can get it printed somewhere nicer, but just keep it as small as possible. Get the game done beforehand and play test the hell out of it, and you're golden.
I would propose something slightly different, but this is also, you should definitely do that as well if you're going to want to make it thing. But my thing is get fucky. Be it like, just go, I have an idea, stop putting it down, and like if you want, like throw stuff together and build it together, like especially if you're just gonna, if you don't want it to necessarily be a thing for the entire, like open to the entire world, you just want to be like, I'm making a thing, I'm gonna give it to my friends, and
Yeah.
maybe some people they pass it on to. Just do it. Don't let yourself be constrained by the idea that it has to be for a reason or for someone. It could be for other little freaks like you, right? Like, that is totally fine. And I think starting there is great, and almost it's very freeing, right? And then like if you're wanting to do, okay, I want to do a big a TTRPG thing and put it out for crowdfunding and put, like, definitely follow Takuma's way. Like, I'd still very much make a thing, because I think that a lot of times we lose connection with the ability to just make stuff for making stuff's sake, especially when it's not going to go any further, and like play in that like experimental creativity stuff. There is stuff in my house that will never see the light of day, and that is okay.
Yeah, I love this idea that like you can jump into the TTRPG zine scene without jumping into a major project. In fact, you like Taku was saying, like make games, play test them, have fun, and then when one sticks and you're like, this is the one, then go for it. Or just make zines. Fuck around and find out, see how it goes. Give them to your friends. Arrange them in a trench coat. Hand them out to strangers on the street. Maintain eye contact while doing so. Live a little. Okay. BJ, do you have any advice?
Yeah. So first things first. Hey gang, I made on call in like 27 days, and then I did the backer kit in like 22 days, 21 days at the same time. Don't ever do that. Well, okay. If you feel like you can do it, you should do it. But I'm saying don't ever do that. When I was done with the game and I'd had the backer kit all set up with its variety of issues of doing so, I slept for like 15 hours afterwards. I was so exhausted, but I got it done. It was very fulfilling. But if you don't have to do that, don't do it unless you're one of those people that was like, I thrive under pressure. I can work under pressure. I just don't like it. But I was trying to figure out how to word this. One of the things I think for me that made it really easy to get the game done, because there's been stuff I've been working on that I haven't finished in like a year, is because this idea for On Call stemmed from an idea for a graphic novel in a world that I wanted to write as a high school student, that I tried to get done as a college student. Like I pulled it deep from something that I was like, man, this was like something I was so excited about, and then I never got to it. And like pulling back from things that you were like, you loved at one point, and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and seeing if you can do it in this medium instead, like really helped me get it done. So that might be true for you too.
Heck yeah. I love this. I hope, chat, you're feeling very inspired to go out and make a zine. And that does bring us to the hour. Instead of me telling everyone how cool you are again, I was hoping we just go person by person, and just plug your zine. We're all doing stuff right now. Can you please? I If you want me to, if you're scared, I'll plug it. But if you everyone's like melting into chairs now. Okay, Lola's the only one who's not shrinking from me. So Lola, you're up first. Where can people find you on the internet, and what do you happen to have going on that might be slightly relevant to this conversation?
Hi. Okay. People can find me on the internet on Blue Sky, because that's where I tend to talk the most shit. So find me there at thirdfaultyarns.com, because I have a website and domain name, so it just makes sense. And that is where I go, but mostly talk about TTRPG stuff and world stuff, and sometimes share poetry. But that's hard to find, because I also reshare a lot of stuff because all my friends are doing cool stuff. Right now, however, I am back-a-kitting, crowdfunding on Back-a-Kit, The Wondrous Bookshop, which is a mixed-use solo journaling game, which bookshop simulator, where you play the impassioned curator of a magical bookshop with a burning literary question. So there's a little bit of mystery solving and cozy caretaking at the same time. And you can find that at tinyurl.com. All my friends are wondrous.
Are you serious?
I made a link specifically because this just felt like a thing.
This panel series called All My Friends Are Stories. Anyway, I'm just really excited about that. Beautiful. That was me trying to shake your hand through here. Okay, there we go. Hey, VJ, who are you? Where could people find you on the internet? And what do you have going on this month? I think you actually just muted yourself instead of unmuting yourself, which I love the commitment to the you're muted bit.
Hey gang, I'm BJ. Wow, I forgot everything. I'm BJ. I'm BJ's Creations, literally pretty much everywhere on the internet. Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, YouTube. I'm still there technically, I guess. Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Come say hi. I love talking to people. Suggest a video. I love talking about pretty much anything TTRPG related. And right now I am, currently advertising for On Call, which has 7 days to go. We're at 74% of the way to the $3,017, not 30,000. And I'm just making this because I want to make a really cool looking product for you guys. I won't make any money unless it sells like after the Kickstarter is done. And like the advertisement says, if you like the critically acclaimed ad hoc dispatching game, you're gonna love this guy.
Fantastic. And Takuma, who the heck are you? Where can we find you? And what do you got going on?
I have been Takuma. I'm on Blue Sky and Itch at noroadhome.itch.io. And yeah, I am currently crowdfunding on Kickstarter as part of Zine Quest, Spirit Swap, a slice of life TTRPG, which is a solo tabletop adaptation of the Match 3 game. Spirit Swap, lo-fi beats to Match 3 2. Life game where you are a new witch, you are a spirit swapper, you are helping people in the city, you are making new friends, you are learning spells to become a better witch, and it's all using a tarot deck and a bunch of d6, which are doing a kind of tabletop version of the Match 3 thing, where every time you roll a die, the number it is the type of spirit it is, and when you roll 3 of those dice, you get a cool special effect that lets you like do stuff to your deck and all of that. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And hello, Raiders. Sorry that you're joining at the end, but I hope everyone is feeling inspired to go create some cool, weird art. Go support some zines. I have 3 recommendations for you right now. And generally, just support weird little games. It's just a good time. All right, so thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.